Hey, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Photo Impact 10X. My name is Joe Vacanti, and this week we're going to be talking about building a studio on a budget. And later in this video, I have a mind-blowing little hack, and you'll love it. So stay tuned. Number one is lighting. Lighting can be a very scary thing, but it really isn't. It can have a scary dark cloud that goes with the word lighting for the beginner and somebody that's not accustomed to working with it. But it's really not all that difficult. There's a few ins and outs that when you get into studio lighting and whatnot that you have to learn, but we'll do a video on that later, and that's not a part of the scope of this particular video. This is about building a studio on a budget. So how do we get great light? First, let's take a look at natural light. Now, we can set up our studio in front of a window and use bounce boards and reflectors. And we'll get into bounce boards and reflectors in the next step. But using natural light is a very incredible way to do your photography. It gives such a great mystique to your images, and you can modify the light in many different ways by moving closer to a window, moving further away, and using little modifications to help direct your light. Now in this image, we were using this young lady as a model to help set up for a maternity shoot. And there was a large picture window there with vertical blinds, and the sunlight started coming in through those vertical blinds and creating these beautiful lines across the hardwood floor. So we had the model lay on the floor, and then we took her feet and we started steering her around on the floor to adjust her, kind of like a wheelbarrow, but to get her into the right position. And that image just came out of nowhere. We're trying to do something else, but because of the natural light that was coming in, that opportunity opened up. But natural light could be one of the most beautiful things that you photograph with. Now let's talk about man-made light, studio lighting. This can be as simple as lights, continuous lights that you buy at like Home Depot, LED lights. They have some pan lights that use like a fluorescent bulb and whatnot, and that clip onto things. Very cheap and inexpensive. You can go anywhere from $3 on up to $20 or $50 at Home Depot and get yourself some lights. All right. And I've done this in the past. Speaking about the maternity shoot earlier, that was kind of an impromptu maternity shoot that happened when we were traveling. And we did not have studio lights with us, and we actually went to Home Depot and bought 6 pan lights that you can just clip onto things and they'll sit there and you can just direct them. And we used 6 of those with 100-watt bulbs in there to do the whole maternity shoot. And it worked out, and it was incredible, and the family was very excited about the images that they received. But that cost a total of about $12 to put together. All right, very inexpensive. Next, you have studio lights. Studio lights, you can spend anywhere from like $100 on up to $10,000. That's up to you how much you want to spend. And there may be a reason to go up to $10,000, but this video is based on building a studio on a budget. Cowboy lights are very inexpensive, and they're pretty good quality. I'm pretty impressed with them. This video right now is being shot with one of the lights with an umbrella. An umbrella is a light modifier that you shine the light through it and it softens that light so it's not harsh like directly out of the bulb itself. And the cowboy light set, the one that I'm using right now, came with 3 lights, 3 bulbs, 3 umbrellas, and a case to carry them in for I think like $70. Incredibly cheap. And the umbrellas, you could they insert right into the light stand, and they're just held right there, and everything's all contained in that one system. And I'll put a link in the description so you can go and look at them, check them out, and see if it's anything that floats your boat or not. But you can go as inexpensive as you like or as expensive as you like in studio lighting. So if you're just starting out, get the pan lights or the LED work lights from Home Depot. Now, this image was shot with a single light, 300-watt bulb with, it was going through this diffuser. And in order to get such a soft light with one single light like that, what I did is I took the light, and it was very, very close to the model. And little tip, the closer you get with the light, the softer the light becomes. You would think it would become harsh, but it doesn't. It becomes very soft. And the further you pull it away from your subject, the harsher the light becomes. So use that, adjust your light back and forth like we did in this image, and use like a diffuser like I just showed you, and it's just awesome. Give it a shot, you'll love it. Number 2, reflectors. Reflectors and bounce boards are used to modify the light and to bounce light and or block light from your subject. And here is it's a 3-way reflector that I purchased way back when. There's 3 different ways of using it. And this one side is silver. There's a side that's gold that helps introduce like a soft golden light into your images. And inside is the ring that has an opaque material that you can soften light with by putting it in front of your light source. And I'll show you that after I take this apart. But when you reflect light, if we bounce the light, as you see, it's starting to reflect. But if you put that in front of your light, you can see how it opens up the shadows, like in my face, brightens up the scene. And you can put this in front of lights. You can put this and bounce it off of natural light coming in from the window. And you can also flip that around and start, putting, see how it sends a little bit of gold light into the scene here. And that's one product that you can actually purchase. This I bought, this was like 30, this is currently about 30 bucks. I bought this one about 10, 12 years ago, and it's in great shape and works. Now this is the inside of it, and you can shine a light through this and it will soften the light that you reflect through it. And I have a little clip on here so I can clip it off onto my belt when I'm outside, in the field. And then it just folds up really small, and it has a little pouch that you put it in, and it can go in your camera bag and anywhere that you want to go. Then when you need it, you just open it right up and you can put the reflector on it. This comes in real handy. I use this a lot with natural sunlight, with nature photography when I'm doing like macros and stuff like that, of maybe flowers or something of the sort. And you can block the light and put a little softer light on your subject with this. So this is a great thing to use. Bounce boards are really just made out of a core foam board, or a foam core board, however you want to say that. But they're just, press them together and tape them with gaffer's tape, and you can tape it on both sides to give it support and make it open up like it's a book, so it can actually just stand, and you just open it up and close it. Now this side of the scene here, I'm opening up shadows by bouncing light off of a foam core board, and if I just turn off the light, you'll see how the shadows come back, and then we turn it on and the shadows go away and there's more light bouncing into the scene. So that's how you can selectively direct your light with these boards. And you can also take these and put it, if you have too much light coming in on a window, if you're near a window or something like that, you can use these to block light. Put it in front of the door or the window or wherever that light is coming from, and you can block it. And if you really want to supersize in your studio, the foam core boards also come in 4x8 sheets. They're kind of pricey, but you can get them, and they're great for large studios and whatnot. But the ones I'm using here cost me $1.09 a piece at Walmart, and I think it was $2 for the gaff tape. And very simple, easy way to modify light, direct light. And matter of fact, let me just take this. This is the board. And it's hinged right here just using gaff tape. So you can actually just open it up and make it like a book. So it stands up. That's pretty much all to it. It's very, very cheap and inexpensive to use. And it's great in studios. It's great if you're doing tabletop photography. With that, you can use a main light on this side and bounce the light off of there also, and you're using one light, not two or three. There's so many different combinations that you can use. It's a great thing to have. Even if you don't use it all the time, you fold it up, stick it behind something, you know, to store it in a closet, whatever. But if you ever need it, you want it, pull it out. It's a great tool. Very cheap to make. In this photo, this was taken with natural light. And we were shooting this in an old abandoned factory. And that window that you see behind it is not the only window. There was 12 of those across the whole back of that wall. So what we did is we took the foam core boards, and these were 4 foot by 8 foot, and we had them all behind where I was shooting from. So it was taking all of that natural light and bouncing back into the model to light her with natural light. No studio lights were used in this image. Number 3, backgrounds. Commercial backgrounds can be exorbitantly expensive. You can spend anywhere from $99 on up to $300, $400, $500 for a background, especially when you talk about what's called muslins, which are fabric based. So what I did here is I went to Home Depot and I picked up a canvas painter's tarp. And they come in various sizes. The one here is 10 foot wide by 20 foot long. It's huge, but makes an incredible backdrop. And then what I did is I took that and I kind of like tie-dyed, and I stuck with the natural color of the tarp and then added a brown fabric dye to it. And I let it sit in that dye for a few hours, and then, you know, after you're done with dyeing it, you take that and you put it into your washing machine and wash it multiple times. So it will soften up and be more flexible and whatnot. And that whole rig, that whole background setup cost me about $20, $25 to do. About 20 bucks for the background, for the tarp, and then the dyes. So that's really all it cost me to make. And you can go through and make all kinds of different colors and patterns and whatnot, whatever you want to do. The sky's the limit. You're only limited to your imagination, and it's very inexpensive to do. So go to Home Depot, get some tarps, and make it a weekend project and dye some up. Make some blue ones and make some black ones and brown and some reds. And it's amazing how often you'll use them, and you'll be very flexible with your background. Number 4, gray cards and white balance. All right, everybody, like, you know, I'm sure everybody's heard of white balance. A lot of people shoot with their cameras and whatnot with their auto white balance. And there's a lot of presets that are in your camera for clouds and fluorescent lights, incandescent lights, and studio lights. They all have what's called a Kelvin rating. An incandescent bulb has a Kelvin rating of 3200 degrees Kelvin. Studio lights and sunlight has a Kelvin of 5,500 degrees Kelvin, and that depends if it's direct. When it comes to sun, it depends on whether or not it's direct sunlight or it's diffused with clouds or hazy. And so that will go up anywhere from about 5,000 to 6,500 degrees Kelvin. So there's a wide range of different degrees of Kelvin that you need to, you can adjust for. But you can also go into your camera and do custom white balance. Custom white balance will set your white balance in your camera based on your lighting setup, whether you're using natural light in your studio or studio lights, commercial studio lights, man-made. So with custom white balance, you're going to use what's called a gray card. And it's like an 18%, what they call 18% gray. Now, with that, you have to buy the cards, and they're great, but they can be a pain in the butt too. So what I did here in this studio, and this video is actually being videoed with the white balance that I'm about to describe. That back wall behind me is painted with a gray paint that is very close to an 18% gray card. So I used a gray card and brought that to Lowe's or Home Depot, I forget where I got the paint, and gave that to them, and they used their spectrometer or whatever they use to analyze colors so they can tell how many parts of what paint to put into you know, the base white. So I gave that to them, and that is the color that is behind me. I painted that full wall with this gray, and that's what I use for my white balance. So when you do a custom white balance in your camera, you're going to light the scene the way you want it, and then your gray card is in that scene, which is my back wall there, and you're going to take a snapshot of that. And when you take your picture of that, then you're going to go into your menu system for your custom white balance and use that picture as the sample for your white balance. Sounds a little confusing, but it's really not. If you just look at your manual for custom white balance for your camera, each camera is very different, whether it's a Canon, a Nikon, a Sony, whatever. It's in your menu system, and your instruction manual will be able to get you to how to set it up. But it's one of the best ways to be accurate. And when I produce this video and I edit this video, I don't ever have to do any kind of adjustments in post-production to adjust my white balance. My white balance is set, it comes out very accurately almost every time, unless I forget something. But you can just simply paint a wall in your studio and use that as your custom white balance. Number 5, tripods. Now, tripods. Now, this is where that mind-blowing hack is going to come out. And we'll get to that in a minute, and that's pretty exciting. It blew my mind the first time I ever saw it. But tripods are such a critical item in your photography for stability, for flexibility, you name it. And you can spend a ton of money on them, and you can spend very little on them. So that's really, again, up to your budget. I use a Manfrotto that has these legs that can go flat out to the side, all 3 of them. And it's very flexible and it's very adjustable. And the center column in it will extend up, like you know, so you can get more height out of it. But if you push a button, you can get that to go horizontal, which actually, and it actuates side to side, and it's very, very versatile. And it was not all that expensive. I think it was under $200 for it, without the head, you know, the ball head or anything like that. But it is a little pricey, and but it's a very good quality unit. And if you're going to put any money into a tripod, stay away from the $19 deals, the $20 deals. They're very flimsy. They won't hold a lot of weight for your camera and whatnot. And when you're trying to adjust them and you get it adjusted, then you leave go of the camera, it tilts down a little bit on the head. And that's just, you know, nature of the beast. You get what you pay for. But so that's up to you. And a little heavier ones and some of the better ones have also hooks underneath where you can hang your camera bag or a sandbag or something like that to give it more stability so it doesn't fall over or get bumped or something like that. So I tend to like a little heavier tripod for that reason. But if you're really stuck and you can't afford a tripod right now, and it's something that you got to save for, but you want to get, you know, good shots, steady shots, and whatnot, you know, that tack sharp image, this hack is outrageous. And if you're in your home and you're in your studio and you need a tripod for what you're doing, you can stack books up and sit on, you know, your camera on the books or something like that. But the exciting thing is, if you grab one of the lamps in your house and unscrew the top of that and take the lampshade off, that screw that sticks up is a 1/4-20 thread, which is exactly the thread that's underneath your camera for your tripod. So you can screw your camera onto your lamp and use that as your tripod. And if you need to get height out of it, stack it up on some books or a chair or something like that, or up on a table, or lower it, whatever you have to do. But if you need a tripod in a pinch and you don't have one with you, or you just need to save up to get the one that you want so you don't waste your money on, you know, some junk, that is an awesome hack. It is exciting. And if you're doing, let's say if we're shooting this video here and I don't have it set up, but if we wanted to put another video camera for a different perspective over here on the side, then we could put a lamp over there, screw another video camera on there, and get another perspective for this video. Thank you for stopping by, everybody. I had a great time sharing this information with you. I hope it was useful for you. I hope you get something out of it and it will help you grow as a photographer starting out, getting your studio built, whatnot. If you like this video, click likes. It really helps me out if you do. And please comment below. And let's do question of the day. What do you want to learn? That's the question of the day. Put your answer down in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe and click that bell for notifications. We'll talk to you in the next video. Have a great day.